So if you have ever sat through one of my lessons and either spoken aloud or thought in your head, when am I ever going to use this? Today will not be one of those lessons. Today, I think, is one of the most practical everyday lessons that you could use ever. There are some strong feelings about the topics that we're going to talk about. I'm going to stick strictly to the math and explain to you the ideas. What you do with this outside of my classroom is up to you. If you need to look anything up in the book, it will be chapter 2, lesson 6. So we've been talking about percents, the percent proportion. We've talked about percent increase and decrease. Today, we're going to talk about 3 very specific things that are all percent increases. Now, when we studied percent increase, we only talked about finding the percent. In these 3, we might know the percent and need to find one of the other numbers, maybe the original or maybe the final. All right, so this one kind of blends together everything that we've been doing. We're talking about tax, specifically sales tax, tip, and markup. So all of these are increases or things that get added on, and they all deal with money. All right, so let's talk about some of these words. Sales tax. I think there are at least 2, maybe 3 states that do not charge sales tax. But what that is a little bit of extra money every time you make a purchase. So if you go to the store and you're going to get a $10, book, the state, whether it's New Jersey or somewhere else, charges you a little bit extra. And they use that money to fund programs that the state does. Maybe it's schools, maybe it's roads, maybe it's outreach to the homeless population, things like that. All right. In New Jersey, currently, right now, today, our sales tax is 6.625%. I don't know why they had to get that specific, but they did. So it's about 6.5%, which means for every dollar that you spend, you have to pay an extra 6.5 cents. They'll round it, so it's usually either 6 or 7, which doesn't sound like a lot. A couple extra cents, no big deal, until you start buying really expensive things like cars and houses and things like that that have lots of zeros in their prices, right? Big numbers. That's really when you start to notice it. Okay. Delaware, our neighbor to the south, does not have sales tax. So if you purchase things, whatever the sticker price says, that's what you're paying. New Hampshire is another one. And I think there's one out on the West Coast, maybe Oregon. You can Google it. Which states don't have sales tax? It'll bring it up. A tip is extra that you give for a service. A lot of times we think of this for waiters and waitresses. Maybe if you go get your hair done or if you get your nails done, if you get your car washed and somebody's actually doing it, it's not just a car wash. Excuse me. It's something given extra for a service. And the other word they use is gratuity. If you're good with your prefixes, gratuity is like gratitude. So like, hey, you did a really nice job on my car. Let me give you a little bit of extra money. That's a tip. Your server at a restaurant, you were, every time my soda got down to like the last little bit, another one just magically appeared and I didn't have to ask for it. You might give them a tip, a little bit of extra money as a thank you for good service. Okay. Now, usually the recommended amount is like 15 to 20%. It's a personal decision. That's what I said. There's a lot of strong feelings. I'm not getting into that. I'm just explaining it and showing you how to calculate it. Now, the last one might be a little bit of a mind blower for some of you. It's something called a markup. Now, you know that if you get something, I don't know, maybe a pair of sneakers, and you go to resell them, they're brand new, you haven't worn them, you might try to sell them for a little bit more than what you paid. Maybe you bought them for $100 and somebody was like, hey, I really want them. They're hard to find. You're like, I'll give them to you for $110. That's a markup. That's a money markup, not a percent markup, but it's still a markup. That's how stores, that's how sellers make their profits. So what you're paying at the store, that's not what it costs the store. And what their supplier paid, that's not what it cost them. So what might only take maybe $5 to make by the time it gets through all the different sellers costs you a whole lot more than $5. All right? It happens all the time. It's just business. We have to figure out how to calculate them. Now, The formulas that we use are very, very similar to what we've been using. You're going to have some options. You can either add first, and then your words are going to sound like percent over 100 equals total, what you have to hand over at the cash register, over original. Or the exact same problem is where you add last. You figure out just the extra amount, and then it would be percent over 100 equals that extra amount over the original. My concern with this one is that students often forget to add. If they're asking for the total, let's say it's going to cost me $10 extra, they forget to add that $10 on. If I had my choice, I would do this one all the time, because once you get an answer, you're done. There's a lot less chance of messing up. But I will show you both ways. Sometimes you need one over the other. Let's get into this. All right, so I buy an Instapot. You know what an Instapot is? Like a fancy, fancy steamer, and it's done in like 15 minutes. It's amazing. I buy an Instapot for $140. But by the time I get to the cash register and I'm ready to pay, it's more expensive. They added on 5.75% tax. We want to find out the total cost. I'm going to do this problem 2 times. I'm going to do it once where I add first and once where I add at the end. And hopefully you'll see one way is probably a little bit of a safer way to do it. Okay, so let's do the add first. Set up my proportion, 100 on the bottom. Now, if I pay full price, I'm not getting a discount, I'm paying the full $140. That's 100%. I'm then going to add on the extra 5%. So on top here is my 105.75, the 100% for the cost of the item plus the tax. On the bottom is going to be the price that's on the sticker. This is going to be the $140. 100%, $140. Up here is the thing I don't know. All right? Like every proportion, we cross multiply and divide. 105.75 times 140 divided by 100, $148.05. Now, if this had other numbers, you would have to round because money only has 2 places. All right? So what I thought was going to cost me $140, by the time I get all done, really cost me $148 and some coins. Let me do this problem again. Same problem, but I'm going to add last. Okay? Line equals line, 100 on the bottom. The percent goes on the top. This time I'm doing just the straight up percent. The Instapot still cost me $140, and I'm still looking for the total, but it's not going to be the total yet. All right, so this time, 5.75 times 140 divided by 100, $8.05. But that is not my answer. That is the extra. So then I have to remember to do this extra step at the end. I get the same answer. I can't tell you as an adult, as a teacher, how many times I've forgotten that step. So I'm fairly certain that as a student just learning this, you're going to forget it too. I would certainly encourage you to do it at the beginning because you're so excited when you get an answer that you just want to move on. All right? Either way is perfectly fine. So that was sales tax. We bought something, we had to pay extra. Let's talk about adding tip. So a customer wants to tip 15% on a restaurant bill, and the bill is $35. What is the total cost? Sometimes they'll ask for the extra, sometimes they'll ask for the total. All right, I'm going to do line equals line, 100 on the bottom. I'm going to add it first. Since it asks for the total, I don't really need to know the extra. I mean, I can figure it out, but it's an extra step that I don't need. So the 100% that I'm paying for the food plus the 15% is everything that I have to pay or that I want to pay. My food is going to cost me $35. 100%, $35. Extra added on, we'll see what it is. So let's see. 115 times 35 divide, I didn't mean to do that. divide by the other number. We're going to get $40.25. So when I roll up to the cash register, I need just about $40 to make this work the way that I want. Okay, 35 of it will go to the restaurant and 15%, about $5, will go to the server. Now, I will show you later on how to do some mental math calculations, like real world, how to do this without busting out your phone. You can like totally impress your family and friends. Be like, I can figure that out for you. I got you. All right, we got 2 more examples. Hang with me. A store pays $56 for a GPS system from their supplier. They're going to charge you more. The markup is 25%. Find the selling price, also known as what are you going to pay when you go to the store to buy this GPS system. Our setup is very similar. I'm paying 100% for $56. That's the full price. But I'm also going to pay 25% more so that this store can make some money. I don't know what that will be. So the store pays $56 to their supplier. We're asked to figure out how much they're going to charge you. 125 times 56 divided by 100. They paid 56. You're going to pay 70. And then I suppose if you turned around and sold it, you could charge even more money. Get a couple extra dollars for you. Last one. This kind of wraps it all together in one spectacular problem. So a haircut costs $20. You go to the barbershop, you go to the salon, you see up on the wall, $20 haircut. Sales tax is 4.75% because if they're making a sale, they got to charge it to you. You only have $25 in your pocket or in your wallet or in your purse. Is it enough to pay for the haircut and the sales tax and give the person who performed the haircut, your barber, your beautician, your hairdresser, whatever you call them, can you still give them a 15% tip? This is actually a multiple step problem. So let's break it down. Let's do the tax first. Then we'll figure out the tip. And then we'll figure out if we have enough. Okay, we got to do this step by step. They're going to look very similar. So 100% is $20. I'm paying for the haircut. I'm then going to add on 4.75%. So I paid the 100% plus an extra percentage. I don't know what that is. Okay. I'll calculate that in a second. Now, there's some discussion about whether we should pay the 15% on all of it, including the tax, or just on the service. Usually in real life, it comes down to, I don't want to hand them coins. So you kind of make that decision on the fly. I'm going to do it today just on the service. I'm not going to do the tip on the sales tax, although you could. So 100%, $20, 15% extra. Let's see how much I would hand in my case, my hairdresser. So now I'm going to calculate. 104.75. Don't ignore this decimal. Don't be afraid of decimals. They are a regular part of life. And if you start dropping them off, you're not going to have accurate information. Times 20 divided by 100. I get $20.95. So I have to hand at the counter, at the checkout counter, I have to hand them $20.95. $20 to the shop, 95 cents to the state for tax. Now, usually, you're saying goodbyes and you want to give your hairdresser, your barber, whoever, a tip. You kind of do that off to the side, just talking to them personally. So I'm going to multiply here, 115 times 20 divided by 100. Nope, let's try that again. 115 times 20 divided by 100. Now, let's discuss this. Am I going to give them $23? I mean, if I look good, but the haircut only cost me $20, I'm not sure I'm going to double that price. Instead of doing the 115 here, perhaps I could have done, perhaps I could have done just the 15. That might have given me a better answer. Now, you could, I'm not recalculating this. You could just subtract and say, I know 100% of this is $20. That extra amount must just be 3. So mathematically, the tip, the extra, would be $3, right? Because the $20 I already took care of. I paid that at the counter. The shop got that. The 95 cents, I took care of that. That's going to the state. Over on the side, when I go over to my hairdresser, you walk over to your barber and you hand him a little bit of extra and say, man, I look good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I look fantastic. That would be just $3 mathematically according to this. All right. So now you got all our monies here. All right. So let's see. We've got $20.95 at the register. We've got $3 for tip. The question is just, is $25 sufficient? That word means enough. Is $25 enough? I don't care about how much I have left in my pocket. The answer is yes. The question is, do I have enough? The answer is yes. Now, that was like a 3-step problem with just a simple yes or no answer. But that's really real life situation. Most of us don't bust out a calculator and go down to the penny, right? There's lots of estimation in the real world, but that's where these numbers are coming from. And we will work on these for the next couple of days.